For centuries, great powers went to war on a roughly generational cycle. Each conflict produced casualties and destruction on a scale that exceeded the previous one, driven by the steady march of industrial technology. Yet, for the last 80 years, the world's most heavily armed nations have never met on the battlefield. This direct peace stems from a technology that broke the traditional math of conflict. The potential benefit of starting a war no longer outweighs the cost of fighting it. The evidence for that new calculation was established immediately. A single bomb leveled an entire city, introduced a new category of destructive capability, and proved that a future war between great powers would not be won or lost. It would simply be survived, if at all. Economists, mathematicians, and social scientists at the Rand Corporation used game theory to map out this strategic reality, engineering the doctrine of mutually assured destruction. Historically, the purpose of a military was to win conflicts. Under this framework, the most powerful and expensive military forces ever assembled exist for one highly specific reason: to ensure they are never used. The survival of modern civilization rests on a terrifying paradox. The only reliable way to prevent a catastrophic war is to make absolutely certain that you are willing and able to inflict complete destruction on whoever starts one. This logic only holds together if one crucial structural requirement is met. If a nation builds an arsenal, but an enemy believes they can destroy those weapons with a preemptive strike, the deterrent fails. A vulnerable arsenal actually creates an incentive for an adversary to attack first. To keep the peace, a defending nation has to prove it can absorb a massive first blow and still guarantee a catastrophic counterattack. Strategists call this a survivable second strike capability. It is the entire mechanical foundation of nuclear deterrence. To guarantee that second strike, superpowers engineered a specific physical architecture known as the nuclear triad. The first leg consists of land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles housed in hardened underground silos designed to survive almost anything short of a direct hit. The second leg moves the threat underwater. Nuclear-powered submarines carry ballistic missiles through the world's oceans in total secrecy. Because an adversary cannot track them, a preemptive strike to wipe out a nation's retaliatory power becomes mathematically impossible. The final leg relies on long-range bombers. Unlike missiles, aircraft can be deployed into the air at the first sign of a crisis, offering leaders a highly visible and, crucially, recallable delivery method if tensions begin to cool. The triad architecture exists to guarantee vulnerability rather than maximize raw explosive power. The peace holds because an adversary knows they cannot disarm you in a single punch. In October 1962, this theoretical framework faced its ultimate real-world stress test. Over 13 days, the United States and the Soviet Union brought the world to the brink of nuclear exchange because the vulnerability balance was threatened. American spy planes captured this exact imagery: Soviet missile installations under construction just 90 miles off the coast of Florida. By drastically cutting the warning time for a strike, these weapons directly undermined American confidence in its retaliatory second strike. While the two sides negotiated a de-escalation, the crisis exposed a terrifying flaw in the system. The mathematical structure of mutually assured destruction relies entirely on human beings making rational choices under imaginable psychological pressure. In one critical moment, a single Soviet submarine officer named Vasily Arkhipov was the only thing standing between a false alarm and an actual nuclear torpedo launch. That near miss highlights a second bizarre reality of the system, known as the stability-instability paradox. While the threat of complete annihilation successfully deters massive global wars, it actively incentivizes conflict at lower levels. Because both nations know that escalating to total war equals mutual suicide, they realize they are functionally protected from massive retaliation. This mathematical safety net emboldens them to engage in aggressive conventional skirmishes, proxy wars, and border disputes. We saw exactly how this plays out in 1999 during the Kargil War. Pakistan and India had both acquired nuclear arsenals, and precisely because of that strategic stability, Pakistani-backed forces felt secure enough to cross into contested territory and initiate a conventional conflict. The very mechanism that prevents a Third World War simultaneously builds a shield under which smaller, localized conflicts can safely thrive. To prevent every country on Earth from seeking their own nuclear weapons to secure this kind of leverage, superpowers developed a concept called extended deterrence. Better known as the nuclear umbrella, it allows nations with nuclear arsenals to extend their threat of retaliation to protect non-nuclear allies. This American nuclear guarantee formed the structural backbone of NATO. It provided the security blanket that allowed Western European nations to rebuild their societies and economies after 1945 without having to divert immense resources into developing their own domestic nuclear programs. For decades, managing these umbrellas was largely a two-player game between the United States and the Soviet Union. But the strategic clarity of the Cold War no longer exists. Strategic planners must now calculate risk across a chaotic, multipolar web. There are now 9 distinct nuclear states, each with unique geopolitical ambitions, asymmetric capabilities, and different rules governing when they might actually press the button. Adding to this instability is the steady collapse of bilateral arms treaties. Without the strict transparency and inspection rules that governed the late 20th century, competing powers are now accelerating their modernization programs, triggering unregulated arms races. The integration of artificial intelligence into military command systems is the ultimate variable in this modern landscape. AI and automated defense networks analyze data and initiate protocols in milliseconds, practically eliminating the crucial window for human doubt that saved the world in 1962. These arsenals are a permanent reality. Acknowledging that reality and understanding the strange, terrifying, and fragile logic that keeps those missiles resting in their silos is the most important civic duty of the modern age.